language. I thought it was, so once I use it, everybody.
Okay, I'll turn this over to Attorney Swikert for public hearing. Consider annexation of territory generally located north of Shooting Park Road near its intersection with Pulaski Street and the City of Peru, 621 Shooting Park Road. Scott?
So we're considering the involuntary annexation of 5 parcels. These parcels are located just north of Shooting Park Road along Pulaski Street. The impetus for this was basically we had a resident of the City of Peru looking to purchase the lot that's on the corner of Pulaski and 18th Street, looking to build on that lot. And he was trying to get an opinion from us as to whether or not his building would comply. There were some variances that he would require, and we couldn't give him that opinion since this property wasn't located within the jurisdiction of the City of Peru, and frankly, he wasn't the owner either. So I told him that we could get moving on these properties that have, for some reason, haven't been annexed to the City of Peru for a long time, despite everything else in the area being annexed to the City of Peru. So we looked at some of the other properties that were around there, and we're kind of just getting it all together as one parcel or annexation piece and annexing them all at once. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer. But the total amount of all the parcels is about 1.66 acres.
Anybody?
Do they have different owners?
Yes, they do. All of them have been notified by letter, as well as all the taxing bodies that need notice under the statute for involuntary annexation.
And this is similar to the property that we annexed to the north, which would have been the Comcast property and the Merwicki Farm?
Yeah, that was about 2 years ago, I want to say. We annexed that field that used to have a tenant on it that was owned by Comcast, and then the property across the street that was Merwicki, yes.
And those were involuntary as well?
Correct.
So the only thing we have left up there would be that one brick home east of Beck's, correct? Am I correct?
This should be everything up there now.
Oh, that brick home is coming in?
Yes. I believe the home is part of this.
Actually, or is it just?
Yeah, this is
That's
Ron.
correct. We own that brick house.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, do we have to go in with this?
Yes, this is an involuntary annex procedure. So as long as it's under 60 acres and you're completely surrounded, the city has a right under the statute to annex property involuntarily.
How is that going to affect our taxes?
Well, you would be subject to the City of Peru taxes as well now.
Do you know what you're assessed at? Do you have any idea?
No, not.
If you could pull the tax bill out.
Do you know the total tax bill? Pardon me?
Do you remember what your total tax bill was last year? Yeah,
It might be just over $100 or so.
Yeah,
About 4% of the total tax bill.
of the total, right.
So you have a $1,000 tax bill, you're going to pay $40. Something like that,
Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
Yeah, I own one of those parcels up there. I voluntarily want to join City of Peru. I just don't want to be on our...
No, it comes around behind your building,
Correct.
right?
Yes, strip. Right, I'm a strip parcel for it, so...
Right, that,
I'm not involuntary, I'm voluntary.
okay. Then I saw a hand back there.
What are the disadvantages to these property owners from being voluntarily annexed, other than the tax that you just mentioned?
That'd be it.
That's it.
I mean, you're receiving all the services already. You know, the city services.
Getting built is a little bit under fire protection too.
What's that?
They don't build is a little bit under fire protection for taxes, they want to say that.
correct, they don't pay
Well, why don't you talk to the microphone and make sure they realize what you're saying? because you're paying to now who? Oh, you're paying the city of Peru for your fire protection, okay, and that'll be included, all right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but in former annexations that we've done, I believe the two kind of key components are the fire protection district tax falls off, and then the library district tax comes on. Those are kind of the two changes, and of course, the difference between the city and the county. So it is a minor adjustment.
Might be more like 8% than at the library.
Are they gonna be forced to vacate their property?
No, no. No, we're not taking land. You know, that was a question that came up back in the State of the City that the chamber held out at Grand Bear. You know, what are we doing for houses? We're addressing houses all the time, abandoned houses, things like that, as is all the other communities around us, but it's not easy. You can't just, somebody owns it. You can't just go take it. You know, it gets tied up, depending on who owns it, it gets tied up in courts, then it goes, if they're back taxes, then it goes to banks, and it's just not easy. We live in a democracy, and that's a good thing. So, Ron?
Yeah, we were just, the whole reason, wondering about why, after all these years, just said this way.
Well, if
The property would change hands or something, why?
Right.
But I understand that because somebody wants to build on that property, that the questions come up, or?
Yeah, while we're addressing that, it makes sense from our perspective to do it all at once with all those properties in the area. Because there is a bit of legal work that goes into it. There's notices that have to be mailed out to everybody involved, all the taxing bodies and districts that may be affected. So you get it all knocked out at once, and you don't have to do it for each parcel later in the future. And since they are so close to each other, you know, it makes sense.
That was the reason this was all being brought up now.
Correct.
But it was the intent 2 years ago that all of the properties in that area.
Yeah, we looked at doing all of them 2 years ago when we did the Comcast property, but since the two main properties that we were looking at were that field and the little shelter and part of the Moroki farm that was across the street on the east side of Pulaski Street, you know, that area was a little bit further north than these parcels down here, so everything would have had been separated into two different annexation plats, and so it would have been, you know, repeating the procedure again for them. And so we put that off until now. So.
After this is completed, will there be any more property in that area that is not incorporated?
That pretty much fills in the blank.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe so. I think that pretty much takes care of it.
I believe this is the last portion that is not currently annexed to the city that's along Pulaski.
The roadway and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some outliers on the far west side on Shooting Park Road that we've looked at doing in the future, but in that area, I think that's it.
Anybody else, any more comments? So we can close the public hearing, and then we'll move on to opening our regular city council meeting Monday, May 13th, 2019. Please call the roll.
Alderman Ferrari. Here. Waldorf. Here. Lukosius. Here. Radke. Here. Sapienza. Here. Payton. Here. Ballard. Here. Buffalo. Here. Mayor Howell.
Here, please stand for pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, anybody with public comment? I know there was no cards filled out, but anybody have a public comment? Okay, Cameron, would you go over to that? The mic's hot. Cameron Graper from the Acts Church.
Absolutely. Thank you for giving me a minute of your time. I just wanted to follow up with you guys. Probably most of you who are in the community or on the council have heard about what we've been doing in the past few years with a kind of like a drive. It's not an event, but it's a week-long process we do every summer called Hope Week. It started, this is actually the 5th year, so 4 years ago. And what we do is we, as a church, the church that I'm the lead pastor of, Acts, we kind of are the driving force between getting the churches, so our church, and then inviting other area churches, people in them, to join in with us to go out into the community and then basically do service projects, fix things, makes things better. Really, our goal with Hope Week is basically the same reason why all of you serve on a council like this. The goal is to use some of your time to make the town better for the people who live inside of that town. And that's really our goal for Hope Week as well. So year one, I think it just kind of started with some projects in LaSalle and Peru, and then over those years, we've kept growing it until now, where we're talking about hundreds of volunteers. Last year, we accomplished over 2,000 hours of community service in 7 days, so hundreds of volunteers working in all different communities. And we've loved the partnership that we've had with Peru. I think, to my memory, we've been in every park in Peru except one. We've done picnic tables, shelters, swing sets, or a combination thereof in all those environments. We've done cleaning up weeds. We've painted at the city cemetery. We've done work at the Peru Library substantially in the last few years. And then work with partners that help the residents of LaSalle, Peru, like the PADS Homeless Shelter and the Illinois Valley Food Pantry. We do work with them every year as well. Since they're helping our citizens as well, we love to help them as they're helping the people of LaSalle and Peru. So just wanted to present to you, obviously we're appreciative of the opportunity that you kind of put trust in us to do these projects. This year, Hope Week is running June 9th through 15th. And we are planning on spending a few days in Peru specifically. I had the opportunity to have contact with Mayor Carl, with Jeff, and with some other people in the council. And it looks like we have some great projects. We're doing more work at the Peru Library again. And then it looks like we're also going to be able to do some refurbishment, some new work on the bridge at Baker's Lake, cleaning and painting some parks that we've done work at in previous years, maybe some touch-ups and some new work at the city cemetery. And then actually working on the idea of perhaps picking a ward to focus on repainting the hydrants in the area to take and brighten those up as well as we're going through in the city of Peru. So we're hoping that we'll be here a few days during that week. You'll probably see a ton of blue shirts out in mass in groups. We usually put a whole bunch of people together. So if you notice that, if you put that down in your calendar in June and you see this big group of blue shirts walking through, you don't have to worry. It's not some new gang in town to worry about. It's just a bunch of people from Acts or from other churches that are jumping in to help out. So we love the opportunity to serve. It really is our honor to get to serve the citizens of Peru. And like I said, it's kind of the same thing. I know you guys put all that effort in too, where sometimes people think you guys are just going to come and do all this work for free and bring the materials yourself and put the money and the time into this, but we really do think that it's more blessed to give than to receive, as Jesus said. So that's kind of the driving force behind it. So we appreciate your time, and I just wanted to make sure you guys are abreast of that so you know what's coming up this summer in the city of Peru.
Is your schedule full in Peru?
No, not currently. We're still taking on projects. So that's a great comment on there, that for you guys who are aldermen and then city leaders, if there are things that come to mind, we are always looking for new projects year after year. Since this is year 5, we're always looking for new projects. And I believe you and Jeff and them have my email, where if there was something in your ward that stands out, we're always looking for new projects to take on.
What's anybody up here think to paint the facade at the 1830 building? The lower facade, the one that probably do it on a 6-foot ladder. Yeah, I don't think you want to go up 40 feet in the air and do the high one, but the facade. Now, the 1830, is everybody okay with that? As long as you have time and you still have, event. 1830 is right over on the corner.
Okay.
Right, straight over there, 1834th Street.
Okay.
The Third Ward alderman would also appreciate any fire hydrants that are dull and unsightly being painted too.
Yeah. The third ward needs some work? Okay. Third ward. Don't say that. That sounds terrible.
After the flooding, there's a lot of debris on Water Street, I know.
Yeah.
When we were down Third Street, we worked on all the issues.
Okay.
Good job.
What was that address one more time for me?
1830. It's just got a corner from here. It's an empty building.
Yeah, absolutely.
The facade.
Yeah.
Probably a color, pretty much what the old facade was, kind of a tan color.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want the red that they painted as high as they could reach.
Okay. Yeah, we can definitely
just to dress that up a little bit, and then we're going to need to do something with the.
We'd be happy to. And yeah, the same thing, as far as my contacts, I know, like I said, you have it in that. If you'd like to pass that around, if there's anything that comes up now, or even throughout the year, I know some of the aldermen where I've said, if there's something that comes to mind, usually what I try to put in people's minds is if you thought, hey, if I had 20 extra people and if I had a few $100s that was sitting around, I'd throw it at that. That's kind of what we do with a lot of these projects. We have a good budget each year that we donate into these communities, and it's really easy for me to get 20, 30 people to get on a project where a lot of times it's not that the city workers or the people who work in streets and alleys can't get the stuff, but a lot of times one or two people, it takes a long time to get around to those projects, where if we can bang it out in a weekend, that means they can spend more time focusing on, usually at this time of year, it's just keeping up with cutting grass and things like that. So, that's great. No, I appreciate that. Thank you very much for those ideas. And yeah, if there's anything else, please don't hesitate to contact us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Cameron.
Thanks, Cameron.
Okay, we have a motion to receive the minutes and place on file.
So moved.
Have a motion, a second, any discussion? All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. We'll move right on to committee reports. Finance Safety Services, Chairman Radke.
Your Honor, I have the disbursement for the week of May 15th, 2019, of $1,272,622.94. I'd like to make a motion that this be placed on file and the bills paid in the normal manner.
Yeah. Where'd the second come from? Have a motion, a second, discussion? Have a roll call, quick call roll, please.
Alderman Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Payton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Buffalo.
Motion approved.
Your Honor, I move that we engage Hopkins and Associates to perform the police pension funds audit. That will be not to exceed $4,500 for years ending 2019, 2020, 2021. The firefighters pension audit fund, firefighters pension fund audit, that will be not to exceed $3,500 for years ending 2019, 2020, 2021.
Are you making them, Alderman Radke made the motion, Alderman Payton? Any discussion?
Justin, you want to just to clarify that?
Yeah, so GASB now recommends or requires that pension funds have their separate audit, so we can't just do that within the city's encompassing financial audit. It has to be a separate one with different standards. So we've engaged Hopkins and Associates the past 3 years. This would be the second term of 3 years with them, and it's been good working with them, and I think they get everything done timely, so it's recommended we move forward with them.
Anybody else? Have a roll call, call the roll, please.
Alderman Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Payton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Buffalo.
Motion approved.
Your Honor, I also move that we approve a part-time employment agreement for meter readers. This will be effective April 22nd, 2019, in an amount not to exceed $30,000 per meter reader.
I'll second.
This was presented as part of the wage ordinance last week at the Finance Committee meeting, and Clerk Bartley has an update, I believe.
Well, this is the outcome of the meter change-outs. We're in the process of updating our meter system, both our electric meters and our water meters, and in conjunction with this change-out, some of the duties have been changed for the meter readers. So we negotiated and discussed and came to an agreement for terms for this wage ordinance period. Actually, this is a little different because we've added an effective date of April 22nd in order to encompass this most recent pay period. But it provides that each meter reader will continue doing the duties as assigned by the city clerk and for the term of the year, and they will be compensated equally in the 26 pay periods for a total of $30,000.
Did we have a motion?
We had a motion.
Motion by Alderman Radke and seconded by Alderman Sapienza.
Okay, any discussion?
Your Honor, I was not at the finance meeting when this was explained or discussed, so I'm really, other than the brief update from Clerk Bartley, I'm unaware.
I can answer any questions on this, or I can clarify a little more if you'd like.
So they'll
be getting,
the same wage?
Correct. Well, as we evaluated each of the city's read in 4 different cycles, so we bill in 4 different cycles. Each of the cycles that the meter readers work through have different routes. So for example, cycle 1 has 8 different read routes. One of the routes might be the mall, one of the routes might be the economic development customers. So in those cases, as we implement the meter changeouts in cycle 1 happened to be the first route that we did implementation of electric meter changeouts, it impacts the number of meters they read. So the previous compensation for the meter readers was by individual meters. They would get a 44 cents for an electric meter, 44 cents for a water meter. So we tried to determine a way that made sense, because they're basically still in a situation until we're fully implemented where they're going to have to go to every address that they've always gone to. Some will be a little less labor intensive, some will be a little more labor intensive. Some other duties have come along because we have different series of meters out there that require different handhelds to read them. So in an effort to try to come up with a fair and equitable way to compensate them and provide some consistent income as the city does the implementation, Finance Officer Justin Miller and I worked closely on this, so we went back and looked at their annual compensation for the last 3 years and thought it would be the fairest to just provide that amount that they had previously received and spread it over the period of the year instead of try to come up with a cost per X, Y, Z meter that would really make the payroll process challenging and make it a little more difficult for the meter readers. And so this sort of flattens it all out, and when we're done with the meter reader implementation, and we'll have a better picture next year on the meter implementation. That's why this is a 1-year agreement, but this seemed like the fairest way to go about it and get the work done that needs to get done, because they're a valuable component right now.
All right, thank you.
Okay, any further questions? Call the roll.
Alderman Ferrari. Aye. Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Payton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Buffalo.
Aye.
Motion approved.
All right, next motion, I move that we execute a 1-year agreement with North Central Illinois Economic Development Corporation in the amount of $13,243.
I will second that.
Any discussion?
This will be the 4th year of the agreement that the city's been involved with this group. If you remember, when this started, the Chamber of Commerce reduced our membership fees significantly, so that essentially the membership fees between the Chamber and this organization are a very small amount more than what we were paying to the Chamber in the past. And this is the organization that really focuses on industrial development, or is trying to focus on industrial development throughout the entire region. There are several communities involved, and most of them are going to re-up their membership for this year. And so we really need to do our part to try to develop the region.
Anybody have any discussion? No, roll call the roll.
Alderman Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Payton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Buffalo.
Aye.
Motion approved.
All right, I move that we execute a commitment letter with Fire Service Incorporated in the amount of $1,041,373 for a new E1 fire truck to be delivered in fiscal year '21.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
So several years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, we purchased a new fire truck, and we borrowed some money to pay for that fire truck. At this point in time, that loan is almost paid in full, and it's time to probably purchase another fire truck that the chief would like to purchase. This just gets us on record with them so that we can get allocated in their production schedule.
Yeah, it stops the increase also. when we started building this truck 5 months ago in anticipation for next year's budget, it went up 12% in the course of 5 months because of tariffs on the metal. With this execution letter, it stops that increase from going up, so what we sign here stops if there's any more tariffs, which none of us can answer that, we don't know what's gonna happen. But with that, we signed a commitment letter that after, because it's not in this year's budget, it's in next year's budget, but we'll be able to continue on with it next year. And in this way, they're 15 to 18 months out on even building the truck, so this way we can get into the rotation. And then next year, at this time, when we go through and we go in the budget, we'll be able to put that into the budget and go from there. And again, Justin can talk on the financing part of it as to how that works.
Yeah, I think two things. One, first point to make, that this is part of a national bid system as well, so this isn't us going on our own. This has all been federally bid, so it's not it's following our state statute on as far as the bid requirement goes. And then secondly, this is just the commitment at this point, so we won't know the financing mechanism until a year from now when we go to need the cash to pay for the truck. So what we'll do is we'll wait, as Alderman Racky said, we'll wait until the proof of the loan we have for the first fire truck is complete, and that's when we will take on the second fire truck here that is needed by the fire department to go ahead and continue that service. So we'll wait to that point. At that point, we'll also bring it back to the council to engage the commitment to the financing. So this is really still a year away from the financing piece, but important to get this locked in right now.
And we're also 3% lower than the national bid. So we're beating the national bid by 3%.
So Justin, will we be done paying for the first truck by the time this one comes on the books?
That's correct. So there
Thank
probably
you.
will be a slight variation, a slight increase in the payment, either that or we'll have to go out a little further. We'll have to see what the numbers are. Interest rates are a variable, so there's a lot of things we'll have to wait for until a year from now to be able to lock in or be able to understand what our actual payment is, but it'll be substantially close to what we have been paying over the last 7 years. Obviously, the price of the truck went up a little bit, and then the interest rate, we don't know what it'll be a year from now, but we can...
Chief, what truck are you replacing?
We're getting rid of a 1986 Pierce engine, replacing them with a Quint, they call it a Quint. And what we lack in the fire department is we have an aerial, or a platform they call it, which we use for our industrial customers, we use it for the high rise. However, I can't get that down probably 80% of our roads because of the length, the width of the outriggers. It's tandem axle, getting them on the streets. I mean, it wasn't 2 weeks ago, we tried to go between two cars and ended up crashing into a car, going to a call. So us getting down these smaller streets in town has been an ongoing problem. With new construction up north, getting the setbacks where you set from the road to the house and to some of the bigger houses that have the pitches on the roofs where it's not safe to go on the roofs, even if we had a call or we had to go ventilate or anything like that. This truck here has a 100-foot ladder on it. It doesn't have a platform or anything like that, but it'll be able to extend. It also has a nozzle on it so we can reach up. It improves our safety tenfold by not putting anybody on the roof if we don't have to. And also being able to hit the setbacks, and it's only gonna be a 40-foot long truck, single axle. So our outriggers are not sitting out 15 feet additional from the truck. They're crossed outriggers. And, it's gonna be a beneficial piece of equipment to this city because we'll be able to get it down most streets that we can't get down now with the ladder.
Not just our community, but all the communities, because
Oh, we'll be
really,
able to help any
our fire
community.
department is pretty much mutually aid response to...
We have an auto aid agreement with 4 different departments right now, so, and it would be valuable to any of those departments.
Have you used this company before then? Is this the one that...
Our engine is built by E1, correct. Had really good luck with them, salesmen, anything I need. I mean, I had an issue, we were doing training with, just for an example, we were doing training with our airport truck this weekend in the upcoming event coming up, so we were just doing some training, and we blew out a T on the bottom of the truck, which means I couldn't use that truck if I had to. Called up this company, Fire Services, today. Within 2 hours, they had somebody in my building and fix that truck. So they're a really good company. They've stood behind everything, any issues. You know, when you custom build something, you would know, when you custom build something, you're always gonna have little problems. I mean, it's the way it is. They've stood behind everything I've had. I had an issue with some corrosion on the truck. called them, they came down, took the truck in and completely repainted one side for nothing.
Did you say where they were located?
Indiana. E1 itself is based out of Florida, but our salespeople are from, Indiana.
Basically 2 hours away.
Yeah, they were here pretty quick, so.
Chief, where do you park the old truck?
Up at the airport right now.
Is that where it'll be stationed?
No, it'll be down here. Yeah, we'll put, probably, we're gonna move 3 of them around, so it's either gonna be 313 or another one will be sitting up there. Or we'll put the airport truck back up there.
Chief, just for the future, if you have a situation where you can't get down roads, will you let the aldermen know so we can look into doing something about these problems?
Yeah, what happened was, they were doing construction on West Street, and they had a detour that day, and we had a wreck in Dimick. And usually when you get a wreck in Dimick, a T-bone wreck, it's something that's bad. So we were going up, we had to detour around the block, and we came around the block to get through. There was 2 cars parked, and one car was parked about 1.5 feet off. It's not something we didn't know. If it's something where it was totally impassable, I usually tell them, for the sake of time, square up with the car, push it, because you're not gonna hurt it, and then get around. But he thought he could get through this one. He was, he's in a hurry, but the 5-inch discharge caught the mirror on the car, and he busted it off, so.
I'm just saying, just for future, that could be very dangerous, it could
Yeah.
not allowing a fire truck to get down a street.
Yeah. It's tough when you got 2 cars parked across each other on any streets in town. Any of these streets around here, they're just narrow streets, so.
Anybody else? Can we have a roll call, clerk call roll?
Alderman Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf. Aye. Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Payton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Buffalo.
Motion approved.
Nothing further from finance. We'll have a wage ordinance under, city attorney's report.
Public Services, Chairman Waldorf.
Yes, Your Honor. Alderman Lukosius?
Yes, tonight I'd like to make a motion to approve the final payment for the citywide patching of water main repairs to Universal Asphalt and Excavating in the amount of $21,440.
Second.
Any discussion? Call roll.
Alderman Ferrari. Aye. Waldorf. Aye. Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza. Payton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Buffalo.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion to execute an agreement with IDOT for federal participation in the Unitite Drive Extension Project, Pisces 1. Eric, can you enlighten us?
Sure. As you know, we're moving forward towards construction of the Unitite Drive project. We were awarded the federal grant for transportation grant, freight transportation grant. As part of that, with any DOT or federal highway project where we have a grant or federal or state money involved in the project, we enter into an agreement with them. This is their standard agreement form. So I would recommend that we move forward so that we can move on to the next phase of the project.
Thank you.
I will second that.
Any discussion? Okay, call the roll.
Alderman Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Payton. Ballard.
Aye.
Buffalo.
Motion
Next, Your
approved.
Honor, I will make a motion to approve an architectural service agreement with Basali, Cary, and Allstott for Phase 1 services for the Peru Police Station. Eric, could you go over that, please?
Yeah, as I had said previously in the town hall meeting, we had done some work when we were looking at this with the other communities and building a shared facility. We had started some of the Phase 1 work. The Phase 1 work primarily is working with the chief and his staff and understanding their needs for the building, so that we can construct a proposed conceptual floor plan, which then we can build some budget numbers off of. So really, it's collecting all this data in order to present the council with a figure that we believe it will take to build this building. In addition to that, like I had said previously, we had the former CVS site from the Shared Service Committee is our site for the police station. We've since moved on from that. As part of the Phase 1, we'll identify some of the potential proposed sites and do a review of those sites and present that review before the council as well.
will that be included in the cost that you present?
Yeah, so, and the other way, the other thing I should note is, I set up this contract, negotiated this contract with Basali Carey on an hourly rate so that I can manage it much more closely, being that we do have some data that we've already completed that is going to be useful to us, so we don't need to duplicate that process. So, I'll be managing that pretty closely with how much time we need to really task them with. Of course, the chief and I will do as much as we can internally, and pass that information along to them.
Thank you.
Was there a second?
I will second that.
Okay, is there any further discussion?
Yeah, after listening to Eric, I gotta thank you, Eric, you explained it a lot. I was thinking, when I read this, phase one went with the CVS property, we're ready to draw up plans and everything. But with further, you explaining it, we're looking at property and maybe buildings even, we're not ready to put a shovel in the ground.
That's correct. So the kind of in summary is, we're going to bring you guys a conceptual floor plan, so a single drawing with a floor plan based upon the information that we received from the chief. And then secondly, we'll have a budgetary number that goes with that floor plan and explain how we came up with that budgetary number. And then lastly, looking at the proposed sites, our recommendation on what the best fit site would be. At that point, if the council's wishes are to move forward, then we'll start to actually design the building and acquire property if we have to, work on any other items related to site planning, and get the plan documents ready. And then you'd have another step that would then authorize us to go to construction. So we're quite a ways away from putting a shovel in. This is simply just getting some information for you guys to digest and decide should we move forward with it.
Thank you for clarifying that.
You're welcome.
The absolute best case scenario would be a shovel a year from now.
Yeah, the process between phase one and phase two is minimum probably 12 months.
Right.
So.
It's a lengthy process, so, we need to start somewhere. We were just talking about the fire department. Fire department needs parking. There's parking spaces available in the Peru Police Department that are being used for Peru Police right now. So, anyway. Any further discussion on it? Have a roll call. Call roll.
Alderman Ferrari. Aye. Waldorf. Aye. Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Payton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Buffalo.
Motion approved.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the city engineer to seek statements of interest for Phase 3 construction engineering for the Unitide Drive Extension Project. The site.
This also goes along with our federal grant project, which is the Unitide Drive, of course. Anytime we spend federal money on any consulting services, in this instance, we were awarded money to spend on engineering, Phase 3, so our observation services that we use in all of our projects. We have to properly procure those services. So they have a listing on how we do that. I am working with Attorney Schweiger in completing we call it a QBS, Qualification-Based Selection Ordinance for the City of Peru. And it is tailored after the federal highway and DOT guidelines in doing that. I do have some information to get back to Attorney Schweiger, and we will hopefully have that ordinance for the next council meeting. But in advance of that, we want to advertise to start receiving those statements of interest. And then once the ordinance is enacted, it'll lay out how we select those services. So what is the process for it? And again, we'll be following those federal guidelines, federal and state guidelines.
Thank you.
Yep.
Second? Who had the second?
No second.
Need a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and just one more thing, that's Unitide Drive connecting Donlar Avenue to Plank Road.
That's correct.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, have a roll call.
Alderman Ferrari. Aye. Waldorf. Aye. Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Payton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Buffalo.
Motion approved.
That was all from Public Services, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, city attorney, ordinance, resolutions?
Yes, Your Honor. First, I have an ordinance annexing certain territory located north of Shooting Park Road near Pulaski Street, approximately 1.66 acres.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Call roll.
Alderman Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza. Peyton. Ballard. Buffalo.
Motion approved.
Next, I have a resolution authorizing the execution of a consent order between the City of Peru and State of Illinois and Illinois Environmental Protection Agency.
Have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Who made the motion, Alderman Payton and Alderman Radke? Any discussion? Call roll.
Alderman Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza. Peyton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Buffalo.
Motion approved.
Next, I have minutes of public hearing on petition of William and Carol Donnelly concerning real estate generally located at 2616 4th Street in Peru. They're requesting some variances to construct a 28 by 32-foot detached garage on the premises. The Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously voted to favorably recommend that the variances be approved.
Got a motion to approve?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried.
Going along with that, I have an ordinance granting variances under the zoning ordinance of the City of Peru as sought by the petition of William G. Donnelly and Carol M. Donnelly concerning property located at 2616 4th Street, Peru.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the ordinance in the fourth ward as written in red? Who seconded?
Alderman Buffalo.
Okay, there we go. Okay, any discussion? It's going to be a nice improvement to their property, the new garage that they're going to put up there. Very nice. Well, first we have to vote, so let's call the roll.
Alderman Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza. Peyton. Ballard. Buffalo.
Motion approved.
Next, we have an ordinance fixing wages for employees of the City of Peru, Illinois, commencing May 1st, 2019, and ending April 30th, 2020.
Got a motion to approve the ordinance as written?
So moved.
Discussion?
Your Honor, I was not at the finance meeting, and I'm unaware of what this ordinance says.
Okay, so this ordinance covers anybody in the city, full-time employees not covered under collective bargaining agreements, and it offers them it awards them a 2% raise for this particular fiscal year. It's a one-year wage ordinance. And that 2% is consistent with what we've done for the employees that are in bargaining units.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Have a roll call, clerk call the roll.
Alderman Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza. Peyton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Buffalo.
Motion approved.
Finally, we have an ordinance amending Code of Ordinances, Section 2-63, Hiring Procedure Policy.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, Your Honor, this ordinance, as you know, any full-time employee that we want to seek advertisements for has to come before the city council to approve going out for that position. What is not, we've determined is not covered anywhere in the hiring ordinance is the ability for the fire chief to hire and maintain a staff of paid on-call firefighters. So what this ordinance does is it allows the fire chief to maintain a staff of 20 paid on-call firefighters. If any of them resign or leave for whatever reason, the fire chief is authorized to maintain that staff, and also authorized to maintain 3 cadets. Any full-time fire staff would have to come to the city council to be advertised.
Anybody else? Call the roll.
Alderman Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza. Peyton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Buffalo.
Motion approved. Clerk, do you have that proclamation?
Yes, Your Honor. And we have a representative here regarding the proclamation this evening as well.
Right here.
Yes, sir.
Okay. For nearly 100 million Americans, boating continues to be a popular recreational activity from coast to coast and everywhere in between. People are taking to the water and enjoying time together, boating, sailing, paddling, and fishing. During National Safe Boating Week, the U.S. Coast Guard and its federal, state, and local safe boating partners encourage all boaters to explore and enjoy America's beautiful waters responsibly. Safe boating begins with preparation. The Coast Guard estimates that human error accounts for 70% of all boating accidents and that life jackets could prevent nearly 85% of boating fatalities. Through basic boating safety procedures, carrying life-saving emergency distress and communications equipment, wearing life jackets, attending safe boating courses, participating in free boat safety checks, and staying sober when navigating, we can help ensure boaters on America's coastal inlands and offshore waters to stay safe throughout the season. National Safe Boating Week is observed to bring attention to important life-saving tips for recreational boaters so that they can have a safer, more fun experience out on the water throughout the year. Whereas, on average, 650 people die each year in a boating-related accident in the U.S. 76% of these fatalities are caused by drowning, and whereas the vast majority of these accidents are caused by human error or poor judgment and not by the boat, equipment, or environmental factors. And whereas a significant number of boaters who lose their lives by drowning each year would be alive today if they had worn their life jackets. Therefore, I, Scott Howell, do hereby support the goals of the Safe Boating Campaign and proclaim May 18th through 24th, 2019 as National Safe Boating Week and start the year-round effort to promote safe boating. In witness thereof, I urge all those who boat to practice safe boating habits and wear a life jacket at all times while boating. We have a motion to receive this and place on file and declare May 18th through May 24th, 2019 National Safe Boating Week.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Okay, I have another one here that's proclamation. In 1962, President Kennedy proclaimed May 15th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the calendar week in which May 15th falls is National Police Week. And whereas the members of the law enforcement agency of the City of Peru play an important role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of our community, and whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the problems, duties, and responsibilities of their police department, and that members of our police department recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, protecting them against violence or disorder, and protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression or intimidation, and whereas our police department has grown to be a modern and scientific law enforcement agency which unceasingly provides a vital public service. Therefore, I, Mayor Scott J. Howell, and the Aldermen of the City of Peru urge our citizens to join in commemorating law enforcement officers past and present who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their community have established for themselves the rights and securities for all citizens. Now therefore, I, Scott J. Howell, Mayor of the City of Peru, LaSalle County, Illinois, do hereby proclaim the week of May 12th through May 18th, 2019 as National Police Week in the City of Peru. Do I have a motion to receive and place on file?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Unfinished business. Do we have a motion to authorize the city engineer and corporate counsel to negotiate a development agreement with Cantrell Morgan for property located at the southeast corner, Route 251 and Shooting Park Road, also known as the former CVS site?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I think everybody looked at the proposal they made, and I think it has some real positive aspects to it. I don't know that I agree with all of it. So I think that's why we're asking the city engineer and corporate counsel to start negotiating different points. Obviously, CVS is asking for some variances, or asking for potential zoning changes. I'm not sure that I agree with some of those things, but some of those things look like they would definitely benefit the community, benefit the city's tax base. So hopefully this will be the start of a fruitful discussion that will redevelop that property, and really that property's been underutilized probably since the grocery store closed. That property's been completely underutilized from a economic perspective.
Anybody else? Okay, we'll have a roll call. Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Ferrari?
Aye.
Waldorf?
Aye.
Lukosius?
Aye.
Radke?
Aye.
Sapienza? Peyton? Ballard? Buffalo?
Motion approved. Okay, under new business, motion to name Peru representative to IMEA board. I was appointed on the board by, well, I don't remember who was here back in 2014. It was March of 2014, so I've been serving on the IMEA board since March of 2014. It's time for somebody else to see what it's like down there. It's a good experience, and it's vital to our community, you know, with the size of our electric utility. So I'm stepping away from that, and do we have a motion for someone on the council to take my place?
Your Honor, I would like to make a motion to name a representative to the IMEA board, and it would be my recommendation to have it be Alderman Jim Lukosius. He's well versed in our electric department and certainly the business down in Springfield, so that would be my recommendation.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Any discussion?
I'd also note that you still serve on the IMUA board, correct?
Correct.
So Jim already drives to Springfield, I believe, once a month. So then this is a natural fit for him to just spend the extra day there.
And he's
We'll run
chomping
him
at
an
the bit.
apartment.
Huh,
Actually,
Alderman?
they run the meetings back to back, so it's, I won't have to take my suitcase.
So it's 2 hours earlier, you'll need to show up in Springfield.
Your wife asked me to get you out of town for an extra day, I'll tell her.
Okay, so we need to do a roll call on that.
Alderman Ferrari?
Aye.
Waldorf?
Aye.
Lukosius?
Aye.
Radke?
Aye.
Sapienza?
Aye.
Peyton?
Aye.
Ballard? Buffalo?
Motion approved. Okay, I'm hoping for a motion in a second on this. I don't know what else we would discuss if we go back to the next finance meeting, which I won't be at next week. So this is just the first step, just like what we just passed for the police station, for the Vasali, Cary, and Allstead for the phase 1. This is just the first, so that we can advertise, see what comes in. We're still not making a decision to hire, but we're making a decision to advertise. So I would ask, because as I said previously, it's a very underutilized department, which has so much potential. So.
Your Honor, I'm in favor of this. I think that somebody to be an event coordinator in our great city of Peru would be an asset, and I think it would lead to better festivals, better events, and I would like to make that motion to advertise.
You want to have a second? Nobody's going to make a second? I really don't understand. What are we going to do in the finance meeting that we didn't do tonight?
So I have some things, I would like to move that it be referred to a committee. I think it actually should be the Public Services Committee, since they oversee Parks and Rec, so I'm happy to take that to Finance if you'd rather. But Public
Well, the
Services oversees Park and Rec.
According to the hiring policy, the finance does that.
You know,
My concern is that what's going to absorb into the parks budget, and, I mean, we have parks right next to the splash pad that are out of order because we can't get them into order. So if we spend this amount of money on a position, which I agree with the theory of this position, I just fear that the parks would suffer if we pay somebody at this point in time without budgeting for it prior.
Well, as I said during my talk, and Justin, you can interject and you can disagree with me. There's enough money in that budget to do what we need to do by the time this person would come in. That would take us to next. I don't see why we would need to make an adjustment. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I don't see why we would need to make an adjustment.
Did the parks spend all their money last year?
What's that?
Did the parks spend all their money last year in the budget?
No. There's been an expense of 35, now it's 55, that's been going on for 4 or 5 years, it's never been spent. And we went ahead and put $100,000 back into it, so it's showing 131 on the park budget, but without that expense being spent, it's still money there. It's on the ledger sheet, but it's still money there of 55, so 131 and 55 is what, 186?
Just to point out, that's the I mean, Parks and Rec are using interchangeably here, but they are, in the budget, they are two different, accounting funds, or accounting, one in the Parks is in the general fund, and the Recreation Department is its own fund, so you're referring to the Recreation budget.
Well, that's the way I interpreted the question, the way you asked, but I'm referring to the total budget for our park system, which I would lump them together, the parks and the Park and Recreation Board money. So you've got 630,000, 603,000, whatever it is, you know, and another 181,000 because there's 55 that's it's not money spent. It's been carried over. So on the sheet it shows that 131, but it's essentially it's 186. 186. This person would be in place the middle of July or so. It just I don't see. I won't be here at the next public service or the next finance, and I don't know if you need me, but I heard that you wanted to talk to me at the next finance meeting, so.
Well, another thing, Your Honor, is you handed this to, we got this evening, and we haven't even had a chance to let all the stuff sit in, and you want us to vote on something, and I...
Just to advertise? Just to advertise?
Not according to what you explained at the meeting.
No, I said this says to advertise, that's what you would be voting on.
So again...
If we don't even know what we want to do, why go out and advertise?
I don't understand your logic.
I don't understand your logic.
Well, I don't understand your logic, Alderman.
I think what I was trying to talk about at the public hearing was, financially, I think it's a good point. I do think the money is there to absorb the position, financially, but what I'm still unclear about is, we have an ordinance that authorizes the creation of a recreation board, and I'd like to have one committee look at that ordinance and see how it may need to be amended in order for this position to be hired. And I don't think there's a clear reporting structure for this position. And those are the two things that I think we need if we're going to hire a person. We need to know how they impact the existing board in terms of the ordinance for the board, and we need to understand a reporting structure for the individuals.
You have a job description minus the reports to in the department. That can be cleared up. If you want to wait, go ahead. You know, you're still going to have an underutilized park system in the city of Peru. You spent $2 million on a splash pad area, and nobody to take care of it. I don't see it. But if that's what you want,
we have Seth right now and the staff who take care of the splash pad and the parks program right now. So we can all agree that going forward that we need to hire somebody, and I'm after tonight I'm for that, right? And if we're looking at just an advertisement, but I agree with Alderman Radke on, you know, there's going to be an amended wage ordinances, amended, you know, how this position is set up.
Yeah.
Right, and those are important things. If we're looking at, as Eric would say, on one of our major projects, this is a phase one. We're looking to see how this works. I don't have a problem with that, but I don't want to see something in 4 weeks say, hey, we found our Parks and Rec director, and here we go. I just know that there's other issues that need to be dealt with, and just streamlining this. We can't. I just don't want to violate anything. I just want to get us in trouble.
Well,
when we look at this.
To be clear, I think the finance committee was supportive. We did put the salary structure into the wage ordinance.
You just passed it.
So I believe all I'm asking for is I think we need to understand how to amend the ordinance that oversees the rec board, and I'd like to see a reporting structure for the individual before we hire them.
And I don't
advertise for bids.
I don't know.
Be in place before we advertise for any position.
I don't know why we can't do that. It's going to take. Before the papers and the publications have it, it's going to be the end of this week at the earliest. And you'll have it, hopefully you'd have something, we can put HR on it, we'll have something for you to review at the next public service meeting and the next finance meeting. But to waste more time, I just don't see it. I just don't see it, so. Is there a second? Nobody? Okay. It's too bad. It's, you know, the Maud Powell, that was a wonderful event. It's not gonna be one in 2019.
Well, I think that I moved to refer it, I think.
And there's not gonna be one in 2019 either, because you don't want to bring somebody on.
No, it's because people didn't want to get involved.
I said that during my presentation. It becomes more and more difficult to bring in volunteers. More and more difficult. The Coughlins put a lot of time in that event, a lot of time in that event. You were involved in it, Alderman Farrar, you know.
I know that.
You were involved in it like the Coughlins were involved in it, and it takes a lot of time. You could have jumped in and did it. You didn't.
So,
So-
to be clear, Mayor.
You know why I didn't?
No, I really don't.
All right, then I won't tell you.
So if we go back to the topic at hand, I think the only person that is saying the council isn't supportive is you, Mayor. I think what is was being.
Well, if I don't have a motion in a second, I'm saying it's not supported.
So what I said is I would make a motion and move to refer it to a committee. I think it should be the Public Services Committee, so I do make.
Motion on the floor, Alderman.
I would move to do that.
So first we gotta let that die.
Well, there's no other motion to be taken, because there's nothing on the agenda to address, so whether or not this motion passes is based on the second. And then how you want to go forward with that is irrelevant to the agenda tonight.
I'm saying the motion on the agenda to advertise for the position, I move that we refer it to the Public Services Committee for more information, for them to bring it back to us.
Okay. Anything in petitions, communications?
Being no second.
No, Your Honor.
Any public comment? Anybody? Public comment? Nobody? No need for the closed session. I'll go through economic development. Bob Vickery and I, we were in Chicago last Wednesday. We went up to have another meeting with GK Development, which is Peru Mall. They're moving along. They're moving along, let's just put it that way. We didn't ask too many questions because of the non-disclosure agreement, so you don't have anything to tell if you don't ask the questions, so you purposely didn't ask some of the questions. We had another meeting with a group that would like to show off Peru to some of the developers and investors in the city of Chicago. So we're talking with them, we're trying to set something up on a time in the legalities of having it. They said they could probably bring in 100 people of investors in developers. They liked what we had to say about the city of Peru. Just showing them, we had answers. There was 2 people involved, and one was trying to deter anything that we said, but when we showed them this particular graph, in 2009, when we had 485 million of taxable sales generated, in 2010, you went up to 511, 525, 530, 540, 570, 592, 594. In 2017, we did lose a couple of our stores. That would have been the year Penny's was gone, MC Sports was gone. And then we rebounded very well, and we went up to 620 million in 2018. That did catch their attention. And we have their intention. You've done nothing but gone up. We've outpaced the inflation rate, and we're doing very well. Bob and I will be at the ICSC next week, and seeing more people. But everything's good. And to have, I'll say, some of the big players that are up in the big city of Chicago say that they wanted to hear more from us, and they were interested, and they were going to extend it to their people, to their Rolodex, I'll put it, is, quite frankly, it's pretty rewarding for me, and it goes back to with what Buxton, when Bob and I had a conversation with one of the people at Buxton, when they said Peru doesn't make any sense to us. We just can't figure out how you guys are doing it, because you just don't make sense for a town of 10,000 in the middle, basically, of nowhere. And you're bringing in 620 million, up from 485,619,297 dollars 10 years ago. It's pretty good, and more in the works. So, once we have a few more things to put together to present to you, we'll present it to you to see what you're gonna wanna do on that, to see if you're gonna want our presence up there. Our plan is to invite local developers and investors, because they did ask for that, for, you know, give us your Rolodex as well as we're giving you our Rolodex. So we will be putting together a list and inviting our investors and developers, real estate agents, whatnot, and see where it goes from there. It seems like it's a good opportunity, but we're gonna have to go through the specifics on it. So, anybody else? And then, was there any public comment? Anybody with public comment? No public comment? Okay, motion to adjourn?
Your Honor, I'd just like to invite the public to the TBM event this weekend, both Friday and Saturday. It's going to be a huge event. Come out. If you're a veteran, or bring a veteran with you to take part in the parade on Saturday. It's really an honor for us to be able to honor the veterans. So come out, have a good time.
Okay, and it's starting to look like the weather forecaster is going to cooperate. So, but do we know that we're not going to have on-site parking, or are we going to have?
We will have,
some?
I think we will have quite a bit on-site parking.
Oh, that's what they're mowing this morning, I think, once we get that grass cut.
Uh-huh.
I think we're gonna drive, Chuck is out driving around.
I was driving this afternoon on it, and it's pretty good.
So we can have some sun for a couple of days? Okay, motion to adjourn? So moved.
Second.
Meeting adjourned. Did you,